Italians rise up against the European Union, Brussels fail to support Spain, Portugal or Italy, and the UK says we don't need the support of the EU. Well, we're almost into the end of the first week of the UK lockdown, and across Europe, countries are struggling to support each other because, you know, in the name of the EU, they said they were going to be doing that, but they've all gone their own way. The the top team in Brussels, have been failing to come up with any proper support for certain countries, especially Spain, Portugal, and Italy, up to a point where Italians have now completely lost their patience when it comes to the European Union. In this video, we're going to talk about the reaction we have from Italy, where they're burning the EU flags, and also what's going on in the EU in general with the failure to actually come up with something, and the UK's reaction to any support from the EU when it comes to ventilators. And we'll give you today's piece of good news and all some sort of positivity. So I hope you're all keeping well. Before we continue, if you're new to this channel, if you enjoy the content, then feel free to subscribe and click on the bell next to it so you get notified. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. We try to, on this channel, keep things positive, unlike the mainstream media. If you watch Sky or BBC, it's quite depressing. But now, in terms of the EU, let's start and talk about Italy. So the European Union made 2 attempts this week at agreeing to a coordinated strategy to support member states most affected by the outbreak. This includes Italy and Spain. Finance ministers from the countries that use the euro currency met on Tuesday, followed by all 27 EU leaders on Thursday, a couple of days ago. Thursday's video conference lasted 6 hours and ended with a joint statement that effectively passed the buck back to finance ministers. They were instructed to come up with a plan within the next 14 days. So yeah, nothing happened. Like hours and hours, typical Brussels. They got together, all these leaders, and they couldn't actually agree to anything. And they said, well, yeah, we have some time. You know, we'll come back in the next 14 days. Yeah, within the next 14 days, things are going to escalate even more. And I don't think these people understand. There are people in Spain, in Portugal, in Italy who are in need of support. And usually speaking, we don't need the EU. But this time, if they want to pretend to be helping each other, what's wrong with them? As I said, this has resulted in a number of Italian citizens showing their opposition and protest when it comes to the EU by burning the EU flag.
Ci salviamo da soli.
Ci salviamo da soli.
Now we'll have more footage for you guys when it comes to the opposition in Italy, but France and Italy got together, their leaders, to for once be united against Brussels. And what we've had is, as we said, these two countries are stepping up the push for crisis tools, which is being resisted by Germany. Classic Germany. So they're making things difficult for these countries. They said that we won't overcome this crisis without a strong European solidarity, both on the health front and on the budget front. This is according to the French President Emmanuel Macron, who said this in an interview with 3 Italian newspapers. Also, the Italian Prime Minister Conte said, if Europe is incapable of rising to the challenge, the whole European project risks losing legitimacy in the eyes of our citizens. And he's absolutely right. Well, it's already happening. Basically, since day one, when this whole thing started, the EU abandoned Italy. And when it comes to it, apart from Germany, who are always at the top of this game and this project, all the other countries will be left alone. We've seen it. It's happening now with Spain, with Portugal and others. And even if the UK was still part of the EU, we wouldn't have been, in the words of Barack Obama, the back of the queue. So this is what's happening, and there's no surprise that we now have Italians either burning the EU flag or just taking it down. This is another clip. So during all this, like the whole situation, when prime ministers and presidents have gone their own way to look after their own people, and there are some countries that actually are asking for the EU to support them, and you have Russia and China helping other countries, and the EU that's pretending to be the United States of Europe doing nothing but just using words. This is Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the European Commission, saying that we need an intelligent strategy that at the same time protects the health of our citizens and keeps our economy afloat and our goods and cross-border workers moving. Our citizens, this sort of language, again, the fact that they think there's such a thing as an EU citizen. No, you've just created some random fake citizenship. It's not a real thing. The EU is not a country. Europe is not the EU. Now, going back to that meeting that they had that lasted, about 6 hours and didn't get anything, we have more reaction from other countries as well. So obviously France 24 revealed that the angry exchanges between EU leaders took place during that 6-hour video conference call. So, by the way, it's interesting that they can do video conference call when it comes to this, but when it comes to Brexit trade negotiations, video conference call is a bad idea. There was intense disagreement, and the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, told the EU leaders that the European project is at stake. The French broadcaster claimed that even German Chancellor Angela Merkel admitted that the arguments threatened the stability of Europe. The summit ended with a declaration giving the Eurozone finance ministers 2 weeks, as we mentioned earlier, to come up with something. Oh, now Merkel is scared. Interesting. And now she knows that the whole project is at risk. Until now, when everything was fine, France and Germany ran the whole thing, primarily Germany, and all the bureaucrats in Brussels. Now they're actually feeling the risk to the stupid project. Again, we have another footage of Italians burning the EU flag on the streets. Yeah, when you see footage like this, and when you see ordinary citizens across Europe from all these countries, it's not just obviously Italy, you see the same sort of stuff coming from Hungary, coming from Spain and Greece. There's no reason for the EU to be this complacent. If they truly care about the so-called United States of Europe, then they should do something about it. Also, when we were watching that clip, the flag being set on fire, that was very quick. I don't know what sort of material, what sort of weak material they used. It took literally half a second for the whole thing to just go. Usually it takes a few good seconds for any flag to go up in flame. But this is the whole situation we have now. When you have the Italians being angry at von der Leyen, and this new team that von der Leyen created was supposed to be very robust, and it was supposed to be a lot better than Juncker's team. But nah, it doesn't seem to be. This is why, according to the website American Conservative, the EU's betrayal of Italy may be its undoing, when countries are turning to China because their supranational institutions won't help. That's a problem. Well, it is a massive problem. As we said, even Russia are now going out there and try to help their neighbors and other countries. China, because they, very robust and quite dark way, they look after this situation. Firstly, this is no excuse. Now that they're helping other countries, this is no excuse because China lied, people died. We know that. And the Chinese government, the communist government, have to answer a lot of tough questions after this whole thing is over. But the EU should be ashamed of themselves, basically. It's embarrassing. And but at least on the plus side, the UK government have come out and said, yeah, we don't really need any support from these new EU schemes, especially when it comes to ventilators. We had Michael Gove, who is currently being the main face of the government because Boris Johnson is staying at home. He was being interviewed by Andrew Marr earlier today, and he said that no, we'll look after ourselves.
I will try to, yes. There was some confusion over our involvement in that scheme, but I've talked to senior figures in the NHS, and they've reassured me that there is nothing that we would have, that we can't do as an independent nation that being part of that scheme would have allowed us to do. And critically, when it comes to ventilator capacity, we have 8,000 ventilators available in the NHS now. That's as a result of changing the way in which NHS hospitals work and also securing capacity from the private sector. And we have at least 8,000 ventilators coming on stream, which we have managed to secure from abroad. Some of the ventilators that are coming from abroad are coming from other EU nations, some from beyond that. And of course, we are ramping up domestic production of ventilators. And there have been a number of companies, Dyson, McLaren, Rolls-Royce and others, that have all been involved.
Good. robust. And but in today's piece of good news or some sort of positivity, at the end of each video we show you some sort of happy thing to keep you guys going. Today we have the British culture at its best. So people obviously can't leave their homes, so what they're trying to do is entertain themselves. This is a family that decided to turn their house into a nightclub. And let's actually watch this. It's quite funny. Quite like the little boy at the end being kicked out because it was underage. That was quite funny. But if you're watching this video just after it's released, we are going to be doing an exclusive live stream and live Q&A for the members of our membership club at 8 p.m. UK time tonight. So if you are a member, then I'll see you guys at 8. If you're not, if you want to join us, then check out the link in the description, or just you could find the join button next to subscribe, or go on your browser and type in youtube.com/mytc/join. You'll get a lot of benefits for the price of a pint of beer, and just check it out. You've got more details on that page if you want to get more out of this channel. We are also going to be doing a public live Q&A for everybody, not just members, because we're not going to just leave you guys behind tomorrow night as well. The daily videos at 5:45 p.m. remains free for all. There's no reason to create some sort of paywall. We're always here. And on my TC, I'll see some of you at 8 p.m. and I'll see the rest of you tomorrow night.